Hello and welcome back to this channel. It's been a long time since I posted anything, because this is just a random discard pile in my long list of YouTube channels. I am incredibly tired today and have been for a great number of weeks now. I don't know what the hell's going wrong, gotta get to the bottom of it. But today I wanted to take some time to talk about a movie that I just watched very recently, a couple days ago, and that I absolutely loved, and that was Only Lovers Left Alive by Jim Jarmusch. This movie elicited such a positive reaction out of me that I proceeded to go and listen to the entire soundtrack 4 times over, liking every single song on Spotify, and making 3 separate playlists out of a bunch of the songs, including Funnel of Love, which is a quite popular track, I believe, that I've heard a million times before I've seen the movie. And I did not realize it was made endemically for this movie by Jim Jarmusch's band. But it's a great song. And there's just so much I want to say about this song, but I'm currently filming in my bedroom, which is so fucking hot in the Australian summer heat that we are currently living in. And, fuck it. I have a whiteboard that I have yet to install somewhere in this room, which I'll be using for videos such as this one in the very near future. We're gonna get like a Wendigoon vibe going up, but why not? You guys here for it? Oh yes, I should actually say, thank you all for the support on our latest Mandela Catalog video. That was actually a little bit of a shock. This channel that has like no reception, no viewers, just randomly getting about, like 500 views? 500 views on a video randomly, when the last one had like 30 or something. That's genuinely, it shocks me. I have a bunch of stuff that I was meaning to cover ages ago, and I filmed a bunch of stuff that never made it to an actual video, but it was probably like too generic anyway. I had one covering What We Do in the Shadows, which is one of my favorite TV shows. I had one on Radar, that analog horror video that I'm still gonna make. I have a lot to say about that, but I thought, like, what better way to break in this new vibe that I'm going for on this channel than by discussing a movie that has just absolutely like knocked me over the head, like knocked me out. Like, I'm not using metaphors properly right now, but this movie astonished me, man. To me, this movie is like a love letter to life, love, and history, which I can say is the sort of the branding that Jim Jarmusch gives in most of his movies. Dead Man happens to be my 3rd favorite movie, as according to Letterboxd, with this movie taking the 4th spot right after it. Like, Jim Jarmusch just has a way of really using those emotions and those themes to his strengths, playing them to his strengths, and it really just made me want to make a video dedicated to the movie, discussing just that last point about history, about how if we get too caught up in it, it can kind of warp, about how it can become redundant, about how you can change the past within your own mind, and so manifest that in your own reality. And I'll get to exactly what that means, and trying to break down the vagueness and strangeness of that statement, but effectively, this movie is something really special. Particularly so because I am a uni student who is in education, who is learning to teach history at a secondary school level, and it's very important that history remains something relatively open-ended and not like personal. History is something very objective, and through the character of Adam, played by Tom Hiddleston in this movie, we get a very good glimpse into what happens when you allow history to become a portfolio of all these feigned, happy, glorious moments in your life. You allow history to warp before your very eyes. Like, Adam really just embodies what happens when people get too content in their own past and in the world's past, and start to believe that the world is coming to a steaming hot end, which is a thing witnessed very, very energetically in older generations. I like to think there's a great number of Gen Z's ideologies that also reflect that generational decline, if you will. But Adam, being a 500-year-old vampire, hasn't seen a lot of the world's more harrowing calamities, such as the ones that Eve, his 3,000-odd-year-old wife, has witnessed, like the fall of empires, like the collapse of Europe at the hands of the Black Death in the Middle Ages, and even stuff like the potato famines, where single countries and single locales were on the brink of collapse, and it felt like the end of the world. Eve has been through all these sort of horrible events and knows that from the ashes of the rubble, humanity continues to rise up. And both the characters get to discussing a sort of Mad Maxian future, wherein humans are fighting over water and using oil as sort of currency or commodity. And that seems like something that you really hear a lot about nowadays, coming from all sorts of conversations around the world. Our leaders are digging a hole that we can't get out of. It's too late now. The net zero goals are never going to be reached. And yes, while it does seem very bleak and that the world is coming to a steaming hot end, and it very may well, humanity's very recent history, at least, does seem to have a very cyclical nature about it. And our extended history back into ancient times and into hitherto untold stories from like the Paleolithic and Neolithic era of very early human development, it seems that we have a very, very cyclical function. We do things in the same order again. We make the same mistakes over and over again because, in the misquoted words of Winston Churchill, we are doomed to repeat our history if we do not learn from it, and we don't learn from anything because we're humans and we're too good for that. So, just very intriguing, this movie. I love that Adam and Eve and their names alone are a very great testament to that biblical scale story of humanity's birth, and in this case rebirth, when I'll get to that towards the end of the movie. But then you've got characters like Christopher Marlowe, where while Adam is a great example of how you can allow the past to become distorted, Christopher Marlowe in this film really entertains the Marlovian theory of Shakespeare's authorship, wherein Marlowe is the supposed author of all of Shakespeare's works. He, at one point, comments on Adam being such a tragedian that he would love to have mused upon him while he was writing Hamlet. And I initially took a little bit of the slightest offense to that. I'm not a great supporter of that Marlovian theory. And it feels like an attack on whoever Shakespeare was. But I realized afterwards that maybe Jarmusch is kind of pointing out more of a long-term effect of Adam's ill-fated odyssey there, of how if you allow the past to become distorted, then at a certain point, fact and fiction just begins to blur, and the past is no longer what it once was, and such outlandish theories can become very real. And to certain people, genuine artifacts of the past, genuine articles of history, which is a very interesting take, I think. But yes, I feel in that way I was kind of shocked. This whole history talk is not a position I held so fondly when I first finished the movie, but I watched a video essay breaking down a movie review of the film a couple days ago as well, and afterwards is when I really started to kind of catch all these ideas and just mix them alongside my initial thoughts on the movie. I don't exactly remember the channel name that lended this review, but I will find it and put it in the description of this video, because I was shocked, but it's something that really lended itself to this video, and why I have this title as Through Blood-Tinted Glasses. Obviously, it's a play on words with rose-tinted glasses, looking back on history through a vampire's lenses. But I really think that Jarmusch does such a good job, that Hiddleston does such a good job, that Swinton does such a good job, that John Hurt does such a good job in constructing this kind of this portrait of history, and how not only time's agency does lead to that kind of blurriness, that historical blur, but also that personal feelings, personal beliefs, that our own humanity, that our own current social train is heading to a very dark kind of scary tunnel, that the lights are going to go out. We're going to have a Orient Express moment. We're going to forget where we came from for a time, and it's almost not even that. We've kind of arrived at that station, haven't we? Numerous times already. It's something that's, I think, has happened a bunch of times already, that we have kind of rode these tracks. You witness it everywhere. People don't know their history, and not for lack of education, for personal reasons. People seem to just love to construct their own identities of history, and it is an offense to our ancestors collectively and to our own history that we continue to defame it and spit in its face when we are heading down the exact same dire straits as our ancestors were numerous times before. And we always coin that, if you don't learn from history, then you're doomed to repeat it. Yet we incessantly depend on breaking the confines of that very statement, and then we find ourselves hell-bent on repeating our mistakes again and again, because it's such a fun pastime. That I'm not angry about this. I'm not saying it's a particularly ultraviolet topic that needs to be discussed to an end, but mainly because it's not something that can be fixed by mere discussion on a YouTube video. But I genuinely think that this movie really gives itself to that sort of human fallacy, that human mistake, and that incongruency that that's a shit word, what the fuck, that we witness on a historical timeline nowadays. That timeline is warped, is distorted, and even though there's parts of history that are particularly unknown and will remain unknown for the rest of recorded time, however long that is, I just feel like it's inescapable. It is the agency of humanity to do this. I'm very sorry if this has been worded really weirdly. I had no script going into this. I wrote a title and I just hopped straight into it, but I hope you can get where I'm getting at. Outside the historical stuff, the love theme witnessed between Eve and Adam is something so special. There's even a point at which, at the end, it seems that they are kind of falling into that biblical line, and that they plan to kind of reinvigorate humanity by turning two lovers into vampires, and so rebirthing humanity in the exact image of the original Adam and Eve, which is a really interesting point. It's like they're kind of taking the reins of history, and they are then, not retroactively, they are presently manifesting their own future history, impacting the future. They are taking the reins themselves, because humanity, the zombies as Adam calls them, have so far as to say destroyed the world, and I find that kind of beautiful in a way, but in kind of poetic. But another element of this movie that works so well is music. Damn, Jarmusch is so good in scoring this movie, especially with the music that he made alongside his bandmates and other collaborators himself. This soundtrack is probably the best I've ever witnessed in a single film. I know that I've been fidgeting this entire time, but that is not me detracting from any of this, because I really need to get it out that this soundtrack is spectacular. Holy crap, I need that on vinyl, and I'm gonna go find that, actually. I will. Yeah. Oh, damn. Go listen to the soundtrack for Only Lovers Left Alive. It is... just no words. No words. I'm speaking so frantically because there are no words to describe this. But yes, thank you all so much for listening to this very ill-fated video. I have a lot more plans for this channel in the future, but I just wanted to get this kind of review out, if that's what you want to call it. And yes, I will catch you next time, and I hope you've enjoyed this little discussion. I appreciate it so much, and we shall catch each other next time, whenever and wherever that shall be. Cheers.